So we're gonna go ahead and cut out designs today. And this is the worksheet or the brainstorming that you have to show before I give you a piece of paper and an X-Acto knife. So you can see the designs that I started with and then what I changed those into, okay? And some of them are a little bit different. You can see the darker places are where I would cut them out and then where I would have them popping out. Okay, so I tried a couple different things with those to see what those would look like. I think I'm gonna go with this design. I think that's what I like the most. And I'm gonna give you a piece of cardstock, and I have two sizes. I have one that's 2.5 by 3 and one that is 3 by 3. So we're gonna have to decide which one is better for your project. And it also depends on where you're cutting things out. Like if you're cutting out from here, let's look, then this is probably a good size. We're not cutting out the box. We're just using this piece of paper to come up with the design. So you can see how this one fills up the space, but doesn't go too far out, okay? Now, the other one is 2.5 by 3. So if you were doing something that was higher up, maybe in between something that was skinnier, then you might want to use one like this. Okay? And then there might be somebody who needs a completely different size, and we just have to figure that out one-on-one. Okay, not a big deal. So you want to pick the size that you want, and we're going to get this drawn out. We're drawing this so if we make a mistake, we can change it. I do want to show you a neat thing that you can do that's really easy. I'm going to go ahead and fold this in half and fold this in half the other way. And this is just to make things like quicker. If you look at this design that I have here, if I'm looking at just a quarter of it, this is what it looks like. Okay, so there we go. Oops. Okay, so if I were to draw that on here, this is just one way that you could do this. I could draw that piece like this, and then this section here. Okay, so I have two lines that look like this. So I'm going to go ahead and darken them just a little bit. And it's nice when you can make a transfer of something, so you can fold this over and rub. Ooh, I don't know if you'll be able to see it from here. Let me see if I can use this. It's harder on there we go, on cardstock to be able to see, but you can see how that like transferred my design over here. I'm going to go ahead and make this and draw over it. Okay, again, it's not going to be perfect, but I've got that design, and so then I can take this over here. It needs a little more pressure since it's cardstock, just my finger. If it was like just notebook paper, then it wouldn't be as hard to get that to happen. But then same thing, I can flip this over, and now I have this, I mean, very symmetrical shape that I can cut out. There's lots of neat things that you can do, at least transfer-wise, with just a pencil that speed things up and make things look really good. Okay, so you could do the same thing if you're thinking about, like, I mean, this one is radial, this design is. This one's more just symmetrical because the left and the right are the same. Well, you might be able to get away with it that way since I had that one in the center. But then this one's completely different just because I'm cutting out like half of the piece and then putting it over here, and half of the piece and putting it over here. But this is a nice thing to be able to do. We don't want to cut on the table because you do have to press pretty hard. So you're going to need a cutting board and an X-Acto knife. So cutting on a piece of paper, sometimes we have kids who they'll hold it directly like straight up, and then it like catches and they can't get it to like really make a smooth cut. Okay, which this one looks okay. But really you should have this down, so when you pull, then it's nice and smooth. Okay, you should never have your hand underneath it, right? If you slip, okay, that would not be a smart thing. The other thing that we want to talk about, and this one is pushing it just a little bit, is making sure that you have a big enough gap in between. You can see this one that somebody made. They have such tiny pieces, like gaps between the shapes that are cut out, that, I mean, this is going to end up being a piece of clay. And so if you have such a skinny piece just hanging in there, this could just break out. Okay, just like how this is broken out, and then it like messes up your whole design. So you would like to have 1/4 of an inch. This is a little bit less than that, but I'm going to go ahead and go with it. So I'm going to go ahead and cut these out. Oops. One more. And that one didn't cut very good. There we go. Okay, so one there. So my hand's not underneath it, but I put a new blade in this, and I'll put new ones in for you guys. So they're going to be sharp. You want to make sure that you don't let it cut you. Okay. So this is the design that I have. I'm going to go ahead and take this and put this on my design here, and then I'll be able to take this and just trace. So then each side is going to look the same, because I'm just going to cut these out. And then attach them. And this can be something that we kind of talk about too. So there's my design. I could have this to where I cut out the center one on this side and put it over here. And then I cut out the outside pieces from this side and put them over here. Okay, you could kind of do something different like that, but you're gonna go ahead, and this is gonna cut real nice in the clay just because this is sharp. You'll be able to cut these out. Okay, so I'll take that out. We're gonna have to smooth like the inside of this to make sure that these edges aren't going to be sharp, but then this can go ahead and get scored and slipped over here. And if you need to figure out where everything goes, you can use this as a pattern. Okay, and you could even use this for, like, I need to score and slip. And so, like, I'm going to scratch and score all of this. I don't know if I have any slip up here. And then same thing with this one, where I would score this side. And then I would, you know, score and slip right where that is. Okay, so make sure these get pressed. The pot has to be wet. Wet clay will stick to wet clay. Dry clay won't stick to dry clay or wet clay. So this is where we're gonna head. Really push yourself to, because these are really nice shapes of pots, come up with something really cool. And I know some people don't wanna go to all this work to try and change something, but you really do get something nice out of it. And the nicer the design, the better things look. Okay. Questions?